Hello, I'm James Preston for Kalkine Media, and welcome to another edition of Executive Corner Expert Talks. In this edition, I'll be shining a light on Podium Minerals Limited. And the best way to do that is to sit down with Chief Executive Officer of Podium Minerals Limited, and that is Mr. Sam Rodda. Sam, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, James. It's a pleasure to be here.
Given that South Africa and Russia tends to enjoy the lion's share of the platinum group metal market, is the Parkes Reef a truly crucial project for you guys? Is this where you really think you can make a big inroad in terms of that global market?
Yeah, it is for us, and it's a tough market. Both Russia and South Africa combined hold absolutely the lion's share of platinum and palladium predominantly, with about 75 to 80% of the world's supply. So we're not looking to replace them. What Podium and our Parkes Reef project is looking to do is add an alternate supply of PGMs into the world. You know, Australia is set well from a geopolitical basis. We're a pro mining country. We've had strong technical mining processing support over many years, and we think we can add a socially responsible PGM supply into the market as a true alternative to both Russia and South Africa.
Well, just before we move on, obviously there's a lot going on with Russia and Ukraine at present. Are we seeing supply chain issues coming from that regard? And as a result, does that give you guys a bit of an opportunity to fill somewhat of a gap?
We're not seeing it yet. I think what we are seeing first and foremost is the price impacts of the Russia invasion into Ukraine, highlighted very recently by nickel and palladium prices hitting all-time highs. So we're a good 50% mix between platinum and palladium. So I think having that alternate supply from Russia is hugely advantage for us, and it does provide end users a different option around where they source their products. So we do think it'll be an attractive option for us moving forward.
Absolutely. Now, just circling back to Parkes Reef itself, Stage 9 drilling, that's being undertaken at the moment. What can you expect from Stage 9 and then, of course, also Stage 10?
Yeah, Stage 9, James, it's a small drill program. We've got about 2,500 RC meters to be drilled over about a 2-week period. And this will help infill some of the geological knowledge where we've got gaps from the previous 3 or 4 years, as well as test some of our higher grade supergene ores. So that'll be a great initial step forward. We'll very quickly then roll into what I think is our exciting Stage 10 program, which is really an opportunity to test our long ore body, so a 15-kilometer long ore body, down to 200 plus meters in depth, and really target adding a sizable volume and number of PGM ounces to our project moving forward.
Absolutely. Now, Podium also recently announced revised resource estimates with a 28% increase in MRE to 2.8 million ounces of contained 3E PGM, and also 31% increase in the contained copper to 104,000 tons. So how do those revised resources reflect the opportunity that is present at Parkes Reef?
I think it's a exciting small step on a long journey, James. And in early January, we were able to bolster our team, our technical team particularly, adding some mining resources and processing resources. We've had the ability to revisit our project and re-look at what an underground operation could look like at the Parkes Reef project in fresher sulfide ores. So as part of that work, we've improved our confidence around our ability to extract our ore body at depth moving forward. And this increase to 2.8 million ounces includes 2 kilometers of our ore body down to 200 plus meters of depth, and it opens our eyes to how big this project and operation eventually could possibly be. So, as I said, I think it's the tip of the iceberg, and the exploration target, moving forward shows, how big and how quickly we can be a sizable contributor moving forward.
Sam, you've mentioned palladium and platinum as being two things that you're focusing on at the moment, but the other ones that are certainly of interest are rhodium and also iridium, and they're both very expensive per ounce. How are those playing into your plans with what you're doing at Podium?
Yeah, we've had a small sample around rhodium and iridium over the last 3 or 4 years, James. And what we've seen in our samples to date along the ore body is some increased zones in both rhodium and iridium sitting within our platinum palladium zone of the ore body. Right at the moment, we're re-assaying all of the drill holes over the last 3 or 4 years to look to include them into our resource statement and hopefully our revenue basket price moving forward. So I think rhodium sitting around $20,000 US an ounce as the rarest and most precious metal of all, has an opportunity to add up to 25% increase in our value to Parkes Reef ore body, and it sits within the existing ore body. It won't come at extra cost either. So it's a huge uptick for us as we continue to get samples into the laboratories and start receiving assays in the coming weeks.
Well, you've touched on this a little bit, but I just want to go into a bit more depth. Podium has presented the revised exploration target for Parkes Reef containing between 2.7 and 3.8 million ounces of combined platinum, palladium and gold. How significantly can the exploration target enhance the scale of the Parkes Reef project?
Yeah, so it's a great question, James. Right at the moment, we're around 50 million tonnes of ore at 2.8 million ounces of PGMs. This exploration target, is aimed about adding more than double the size of our project and ore body going forward. So it starts providing us with value options around what type of mining we can look at, what type of cost profile, what sort of infrastructure we might need, and what sort of processing techniques moving forward, as well as what sort of production rates. So, a larger ore body and a lot more ounces of PGMs provides, huge amount of opportunities to extract the most value out of this project for Podium Minerals.
And also, your latest deep diamond drilling campaign intersected the reef at a depth of more than 0.5 kilometre. How does the company plan on exploring the PGM mineralisation at depth, and how significantly could it enhance the opportunity?
Hugely. I mean, the stage 10 drilling we spoke about will drill down to about 200 metres and inform our ore body to 250 metres. The 3 holes we did in December and January and still awaiting assays, showed that the reef is continuous down to 500 metres. And that's not the end of it. That's the exciting thing. So as we continue drilling, as we continue testing, we really want to continue testing this ore body to 500 plus metres and really start thinking about how deep can this mine go. It's not unusual for Western Australian underground mines to operate as deep as 1,000 metres plus. So we don't know where it goes, but we're comfortable and confident that it's at least 500 metres. So watch this space.
Well, with that in mind, what would be the strategy for the next 12 months?
And once again, particularly with Parkes Reef in mind, our strategy is to continue drilling. We've got 1 drill rig on site at the moment. We'll look to ramp that up to 2 or 3 throughout this year as we look to better understand our ore body, drill it down to deeper depths, add both millions of tonnes of ore and ounces to our project, and do our scoping study work in parallel. So get enhanced knowledge around how we're actually going to mine this economically, both in open pit or underground. What does our preferred processing options look like? What does our infrastructure look like? And really provide the confidence that we'll take, I think, an exciting PGM project through to hopefully Australia's first PGM producer. So a lot of work to do in 12 months, but it's huge steps forward if I was sitting here, this time next year.
Well, look, if there is someone who can help guide any company through that, I'm sure it is you, Sam. It's been great to chat today. Just before I let you go, any final thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
Thanks, James. I think the key thing for the audience is, PGMs is new in Australia. but it's an exciting critical mineral. You know, we truly have the opportunity, both in Western Australia and Australia, to really set ourselves up and grow our presence globally as an alternate supplier of PGMs, and Podium and the Parkes Reef project in particular is absolutely right at the forefront of that. So a big thank you for yourself and, you know, and all the viewers and readers online.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Good man. Thanks, James. Thank you.
Well, that is Mr. Sam Rodda, the Chief Executive Officer at Podium Minerals Limited. And if you missed any part of that chat, you can catch the full interview on our YouTube channel, Kalkine Media, so make sure to subscribe. I'm James, reminding you to stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine.